It's time for the press review. A first look at the front pages and analysis of the big stories. A couple of variety of stories make it to the front pages this morning. Let's see what our sister publication this day is reporting. Oh, the big story there. In move to revive economy, Tinubu heads 31-man Presidential Economic Coordination Council. Edun, Cardoso, Elumelu, Dangote, Rabiu, Agbaje make list. Minister of Finance to chair 19-man Economic Emergency Task Force. Heads another 14-man Economic Management Team. And the leading photograph there on the front page is that of businessman and Africa's richest man, Dangote, gifting rice to the vulnerable in Lagos State. There you have him there. My glasses served me right this morning. You also have the chairman of Geregu Power PLC, Otedola, and you have the governor there, as well as other officials from the Dangote Foundation. Well, to some other big stories on the front page this morning. Tinubu confers national honors on slain military personnel, scholarship to children, and many more. Details in this day. Labour Party BOT ignores outcome of National Convention, takes over running of party. Above the masthead, Sanwo-Olu received Dangote's rice, support for vulnerable Lagos household, as that picture depicts on the front page. This is extreme kindness, compassion, says Governor, hails Dangote's foundation's largesse. And Nigeria's 364-day treasury bills oversubscribed by 1,746.7%. Subscriptions hit 2.48 trillion naira. That's the front of this day for you.
Let's look at the Leadership newspaper. Leadership on its front page, convention, NEC meeting, opposition in disarray as PDP LP sink deeper. We didn't monitor Labour Party's convention, INEC, OT lawmakers absent, subterranean forces controlling PDP leadership, says Suswan. Naira will continue to stabilize Shatima, troops killed terrorist leader Junaidu, and fighters in Zamfara. Easter, FG declares Friday, Monday public holidays. And Okwama youths killed are breadwinners. Families of slain soldiers weep.
The New Telegraph this morning, its leading story on the Okwama killing. 3 of 10 widows, 4, 5, 8 months pregnant. That's from the Chief of Army Staff, says 21 children now orphans as the 17 slain soldiers were laid to rest. And that's the leading photo this morning for the New Telegraph. At the bottom there, President Tinubu tells U.S. Congress delegation Nigeria suffered leadership elephantitis in the past. One more story for the New Telegraph, and just above there, INEC declares 17 parties for the Edo State Guber poll.
So the international scene, the newspaper this morning. Labour attacked for feeble plan on Britain's sewage crisis. And that's the big story there.
The Guardian, outrage over record discharges of sewage into rivers and seas.
Let's take a look at the Financial Times this morning. We begin at the top, that leading photo. A bright future, Xi's pep talk for U.S. chiefs. Then blockbuster M&A begins to recover after a long drought of deal makers. It says big takeovers more than double and rebound fueled by rate cut hopes. JP Morgan is leading advisors. Meanwhile, Labour mega donor Vince ordered to inform his wife of future party funding. That's the Financial Times.
Well, if we have our analyst ready for us this Thursday morning, Lemmy Weber, let's bring him in. Lemmy is a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for doing this, Lemmy. We do appreciate your time, always.
Thank you for having me.
Great. I think a good place to start would be the state burial for the slain soldiers in Okwama, Delta State yesterday. President Bola Tinubu, the commander-in-chief himself, was at that ceremony where he made some pronouncements, Lemmy. He did confer posthumous national honors and gifted houses, scholarships to children, including the unborn ones, as we heard yesterday, very painfully, that some of those widows are pregnant, Lemmy.
Yes, it was that ceremony yesterday really brought the pictures more visibly to Nigerians and to me particularly, because it was a very sad ceremony yesterday, solemn and sad, increasingly sadder because these soldiers were on a peacekeeping mission within our country. It wasn't in their original mandate of defending our nation against external aggression. They were just meant to be in a community where they wanted to bring peace about factions that were warring. Sadly and paradoxically, they were gunned down, they were killed, and they were decimated. So yesterday, it was such a sad tale, seeing the families of the slain soldiers. But as sad as it was, I appreciate the fact that the President and Commander-in-Chief, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was able to give sound bites on the issue. He led from the front as the chief mourner, being the Commander-in-Chief, giving sound vibes, declaring these persons clearly as terrorists who must be fished out and dealt with decisively according to the dictates of the law. Then, rightly so, he also conferred national honors on the dead and ordered that the families, the children, including the ones yet unborn, to be given scholarships up to the university level, while ordering the military to ensure that within 3 months, all the benefits of the slain soldiers accruing to the families are immediately made available to them. These are sound bites, which shows that at least this president is sensitive and knows the right level of emotion to demonstrate at a time when the nation should really be in mourning. We hope that the military and, of course, the intelligence agencies would really up their game in making sure that the perpetrators of these heinous crimes are actually arrested and dealt with. But again, we must express concern about the people of Okwama, the people in Bayelsa, every other person shouting about how their territories are invaded, burnt, and killed, and to say to the military that the rules of engagement must be clear. As we mourn with the military, as we mourn this slaying of our soldiers, we must admonish the military in the words of Justice Chukwudifo Puta, JSC, as he then was, of blessed memory. He says, it is good to have the strength of an elephant, but it is wiser to use it as gently as the dove. So we ask the military not to sack villages, not to take the law into their hands, do the right thing, and fish out perpetrators and bring them to justice.
Lenny, you couldn't have said it better. Let's look at leadership, and it's talking. 2 stories leap out at you from the front page. Convention, NAC meeting. Opposition in this area as PDP LP sink deeper. Now, INEC says it did not monitor the Labour Party's convention, and Otsi, the governor of Abia State, and lawmakers were absent at that particular convention. Meanwhile, subterranean forces controlling PDP leadership. This is what Suswan is saying. You look at that, and then Naira will continue to stabilize. This is coming from Shetima, the vice president. Let me.
Yes, I lost you in between, but I'll try to see if I got the meat of your question. For the Naira stabilizing, we must continually say that for someone like me, it's really amazing how quickly the team, the Cardoso team, is turning around the fortunes of the Naira. Yes, there are indices and variables we expect to be in place for us to suddenly begin to have our Naira gain strength. But whatever magic it's being done, because I still think it's magic, we have not diversified our productivity. We are not doing much of exporting. I don't know how this is being done, but it's a good relief. It's a good break from the free fall of the Naira. And so I hope that really we can genuinely boost productivity, where we can have exportations, where we do not just rely on just what we make from crude. We can diversify the agricultural value chain and see how we can help boost the economy, so that we are not just a monolithic economy. And of course, it's good to be positive, and the Vice President Shetima, is on his right wicket to actually be positive and expect that it will, but wishing is not enough doing, so we must do all of the things to make sure that the variables that help make a country's money strong and valuable in the international market are put in place. For the PDP Labour Party, it's unfortunate. Democracy cannot be strong enough anywhere in the world where opposition is actually not awake to its responsibility. The idea that the Labour Party, which at the end of the last general election had really gotten so much goodwill, and we thought that they would be able to build on it and have a party that is united. A house divided against itself cannot stand. Abure went ahead to conduct the convention, and the key people, the leader of the party, Peter Obi, absent. It's lamentable. Even the governor, Alex Oti, absent. It's sad, and we cannot condemn impunity of the ruling party in the last 8 years. Then we now have a party disregard the fact that cases are in court that have actually restrained them from going ahead with the convention. So I think Peter Obi himself has rightly absented himself as a person who is guided by law. OT2 rightly done so. But it's sad for Nigeria's democracy, for the parties that should be in the opposition and keep the ruling party on their toes, not to be able to get its act right. And the same with the lot of PDP. So at the end of the day, we've said it that politicians, most Nigerian politicians are really not led by ideologies and principles. It's about where their bread is buttered, and that's why you see a lot of bickering. If we are guided and driven, motivated by service to fatherland, service to our people, then you would see that all of the bitter politicking, the bickering would not be, pronounced. But a place where the biggest enterprise, where you make all of the money, apart from the religious organizations, is, of course, politics, it's leadership, it's governance. And so they will do everything to pull each other down in order to make sure they get their own part of the cake. And that's where we are.
Let me just to bring us back to the economy. On the front page of this day, it's a big story this morning. In a move to revive the economy, the president heads 31-man Presidential Economic Coordination Council, which includes the CBN Governor, Minister of Finance, who will chair 19-man Economic Emergency Task Force, and to head another 14-man economic management team. What's the significance of all these committees and these teams? I know they have a mandate to submit a comprehensive plan of economic interventions for 2024. Lemmy.
Well, I'm not one to really laud committees upon committees being set up. Set up committees taxpayers' money is used to service all of these. At the end of the day, the papers gather dust. What is the essence of having the Minister of Finance, Minister of Budget and Planning, the Central Bank Governor, and all of the lords? You now bring in players in the capitalists in the Nigerian system to come into committees to solve a problem. A capitalist wants to make money. A capitalist is thinking self. A capitalist is when this committee was announced a few weeks ago, I said that I do not find it really very necessary to have such a committee, especially made up of some of the biggest business people who even have been in the eye of the storm in terms of economic and EFCC, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, in terms of some of their seeming or alleged manipulations of the forex market also. That investigation is ongoing. You bring such people into a committee on how to boost the Nigerian economy, where they, in my opinion, are suspected saboteurs by virtue of EFCC's current investigation, which of course has gone very quiet again. So I think that if you've appointed ministers, you've appointed people in the various agencies and all that, the idea of duplicity of roles and all that, I am not enthused at all by these committees at all. Let's have people who have been given appointments to do their work or be fired. Committees spending man hours with Nigeria's taxpayers, money we can't afford. No, there's no need for it, in my view. But of course, the president is within his right to set it up. But I am not a fan of the multiplicity of committees that keep coming, that tells us that even the government didn't seem to have been ready in the first place to have its economy working when they were campaigning for this position.
President Lemmy, I personally have lost count of how many committees the coordinating Minister of Economy and Minister of Finance chairs. There's so many. But Lemmy, this is where we have to draw the curtain this morning on Paper Review. Thank you so much for your analysis as always. We do appreciate your time. And for more, you can follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Arise TV.